Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 92, Nobody's Children. I am Innes, and I am joined by the one and only, the eminent Chaos Ascendant man himself, Anthony Vanilla, now infinitely more playable than Abaddon the Despoiler, and
Oh,
significantly more playable than Lucius the Eternal.
Lucius is great. People are so mad about the Emperor's Children Codex for nothing. Quit being babies.
I hope everybody is having a great time. We're here for another episode of Stat Check. We have some stats, we have some hot takes, we have an Art War tier list that we're not going to cover because it'll hurt me. Lots of good things like that to do. I hope everybody's well. Anthony, how's your last couple of weeks been?
Pretty good. I went to a concert down in Florida. That was pretty fun. There is something that is just like particularly amusing though about a crowd not knowing who they're about to see. Because like as an example, Florida has a lot of pro-Trump folk, and they were about to see a North English metal band who are not the most conservative of folks. So as like this band comes out and is singing about like climate change and stuff like that, like fucking up the planet and like fuck the power and all this stuff, and people are like singing along, but also there's like a weird fuck Joe Biden rant after the from the crowd chant from the crowd after. Oh god, it was so beautifully like clearly just like mismatched of like not understanding the lyrics. It was a very like those kids would be really mad if they could read moment, like that meme. That was exactly what it was like. So that was pretty funny. Aside from that, the concert was dope. Good to see Architects live. I love them. Seeing there was a band that I saw called Wage War that I expected to be kind of a mess live, and instead it was insanely awesome. Turns out that their like not screamy singer is actually just voice of an angel, just really good at it. No production value. So yeah, that guy is just dope. So yeah, it's cool to see a bunch of that stuff. And I don't think I did anything else super crazy. I've played a lot of Chaos Marines the last couple weeks. I've been doing a lot of coaching in general. People picking up the Eaters and picking up the Chaos Marines, reaching out for help, doing the things, trying to do my best to help people as much as I can. But yeah, it's been busy. I have a RTT this weekend at Ye Olden Rogue State Games. Big shout out to my boys. Zach Kerstetter is coming up from Philly for it, so that's going to be funny. This event over with like 5 days to go before it went from neither of us attending to the usual Hurt Locker that Mawa always is. So that'll be fun. We'll see if the Chad Space Marines can beat the wimpy Sons of Sanguinius. I am very fearful for my boys' lives, but we'll see how it goes.
Look, Blood Angels are fine. We definitely didn't like popularize a menace on the meta or anything.
Yeah, we might have made a mistake with that one. That army is really powerful.
Like,
It was really hard to play again.
We could have just left Olivier doing it in France, and nobody would have ever known. Anthony, why did we do this to ourselves?
All we had to do was be cool, bro. It's also like funny because like the difference between like a Blood Angel pilot that gets it like 80% right and like 95% right is wildly different. Like you straight up can't play against Blood Angels as a melee army at all if they remember to keep 4 CP for your fight phase. But the minute they try and like AOC something before that point, bam, back to just being Space Marines. Normal fight phase, get to kill them again. Let's go. So yeah, that shit's pretty funny.
Blood Angels with 4 CP in the Sanguinor is like, I just not, no thank you. No, we don't do fight
fuck
phase.
is this? Yeah, very few things in the game can brute force a Custodes fight phase. That could. It still can. Unlucky.
They could even take out Veterans of the Long War with a fight for stratagem on their Focus of Hatred.
That's right, baby. That fourth Tuesday of the Blood Moon ass stratagem. They too can get around that, I guess. All right, talk to me about playing for Team England this weekend. Are you not doing that for this team event?
I'm not doing that for this team event. No, we're I got bullied into going to ITT. We were on a team call on Monday last week, and Matty, who's my co-captain, was like, "Hey, so there's a ticket for ITT going. It's 20 quid each. Who's coming?" And I went, "I'll do it if you get the other 4 people." And then 3 people immediately went, "I'm in," and I went, "Fuck." So I got bullied into driving 8 hours to Birmingham. Not me driving, thankfully, because that's not a thing I do. But
well, that would last about a half hour, maybe.
We would not leave our driveway, frankly.
Oh, you think it's that bad? You think you could
I
figure
have
out?
never touched the wheel of a car.
You don't think you could figure out to just go backwards though?
Depends how they're parked. If
That's
going
fair.
backwards is optimal, potentially.
Fair.
So yeah, so we're doing that. So we've got myself and then 4 of the other Team Scotland guys going down. Was not planning on doing it. Had an RTT ticket to an event in Scotland, bought and paid for, and was like, "Can I refund that?" Uh, thankfully, yes. So yeah, got gaslit into going to that. So yeah, I'm playing the last hurrah of the old Chaos Space Marines for that one. So I'm playing basically the list I played for my GT a couple weeks ago, but I cut the hell brute because funny meme unit, and the 2 bike squads for a Forge Fiend because it's UKTC boards. And
I would recommend doing that on just about any board.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, turns out Hellbrute fun, tank shock's cool.
Funny.
Forge Fiend guns,
Yeah.
big damage, more dead.
Yeah. Hellbrute, funny too. You get to make jokes the whole time because he moves 6, and that shit is hilarious on that type of model.
Dude, it's so funny when he moves 6, but still is somehow countercharging your opponent because they're coming at you. It's great.
Oh,
There's like here. Do you want to not tag it or not or let it do whatever it wants? And they're like, no. So then they charge you, and you're like, Hellbrute, tank shock, 3 damage. Fuck. Yeah, that's basically the usual. So yeah, it'll be interesting. There's a decent bunch of teams going. There's an Ignite team. There's an England team. There's a
It was
Wales
just like
team.
the same thing.
There's like 3 or 4. No, the Ignite team is mostly not Team England players, but obviously everybody who's on it is cool with playing with Team England players. So very clearly bad people.
Right.
Yeah,
like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I was a different person in February. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's probably
I've
real.
grown a lot in 3 months.
I can believe that.
So yeah, that should be good. That's all on Best Coast Pairings. It's I.T.T. So it's not ITT. It's like the letters with fucking punctuation between them, just to make it really difficult to search for on BCP.
That's annoying.
So yeah, you can do that. So yeah, follow along if you're there. Come say hi. I'm sure there's like 350 people there. I'm sure a bunch of the UK listeners will be there because objectively, I assume most of our UK listeners are there. That's kind of just how math works. Yeah, that's about it. Not much else going on. Lots of practice. I spent the weekend playing Thousand Suns instead of Chaos Space Marines because we needed to test into them, and nobody else in the area plays Thousand Suns. I was like, yes, I'll play Thousand Suns into you so that we can test. And goddamn, playing Magnus on UKTC boards makes me sad.
Oh, really? That sucks.
His wings are just too goddamn big. He just sticks out too much in all the wrong places. So I went, nah, not doing that. No, thank you. But yeah, it's been interesting. Our roster for that is Ironstorm, Chaos Space Marines, Sisters, World Eaters, and Necrons Canoptic Core, which is point for point exactly the same as Josh's list, as I'm sure 55% of the field is.
World Eaters. Actually taking World Eaters on purpose. Yeah. Oh no, I've infected Europe.
I think it's point for point your list as well. We're just point for point in other people's lists.
Is it the 55 point
version? Yeah, of course it is.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude, we are not cowards in this building. We play 45 points now. I'm pretty sure my CSM list 1985 as well. I'm just like fuck points. Maybe it's not for this one. I can never remember.
Can't have the game be too complicated, you know?
Exactly. 1955.
The puzzle pieces fit together all wrong and leave a big hole in the middle that you can't do anything about.
Oh, there you go. That is the event name on BCP. If anybody wants to follow, that is the goddamn worst. The May ITT, not even just ITT. The May ITT. Good job. Cool. So yeah, that's my upcoming. As for the other guys, Nathan and Jeremy, both away this weekend. Nathan is having some fun times at work, and Jeremy got back from Dallas like 10 hours ago. So good luck to him getting some rest. So what that means is...
I assume that Jeremy got home like 10 minutes ago. That's just usually my assumption when he goes to these things. He just gets scammed.
I have the stats this week. Now, I'll do the standard preface. This is our pre-information stats. We have not quite yet had the chance to do all the full faction checks. So the stuff that Jeremy and Nathan do where they go through all the lists and just make sure that they're all the same as they are. So there is a small degree of potentially some input error here, but we expect this to be basically the stats coming out as we expect them to. So, Anthony, best army in the game right now. You had to pick.
Orcs.
Top 3. Okay.
Okay.
So in first place, we have Thousand Suns, who are 4.46% of the meta. with
Fair.
a 62.3% win rate, 2 event wins, 7 top 4s, and a 2.61 over rep.
That's
1,000 Suns.
pretty high.
Yeah, 63% win rate is, or 62% win rate is it's not insignificant, I would say.
Yeah,
It's one of those
that's
win rates it's quite large. In second place, we have a sub faction, Space Wolves, who were 2.5% of the meta
dude. Just
with
still
a 56.95% win rate, so 57% win rate, 3 top 4s, no event wins, and a 2.01 over rep.
yeah.
So
That's the Space Wolves I know and love. No event wins. Nice win rate. Good job.
doing their best. 57% win rate is absurd, but it's also 6% lower than Thousand Suns.
Yeah.
Cool. In third place, we have Orcs, who were 9.42% of the meta. They had
Jesus Christ.
right. That's a lot of Orcs.
I'm sad that I'm
We
not playing
have
singles right now.
a 55.53% win rate, so just over the cusp there of our acceptable bracket. However, a domineering 5 event wins and 13 top 4s in a week with 15 tournaments.
That's a lot.
Yes. So 1 in 3 events were won by them, and slightly more than 1 in 5 top 4s. That's good numbers for a total of a 2.3 over rep, because despite having, they are twice the player population of all those other ones, so
Sure.
it makes sense
Sure.
that it's a little bit lower. In fourth place, we have
Man.
Gene Stealer Cults, who had a 1.19% of the meta, just getting over the 10 players number. With
Okay.
12 players.
Sure.
Hey, they were over 10. 55.4% win rate, 1 event win, 2 top 4s, and a 2.8 over rep. Again, that lower player number coming up with a very high over rep. Running at the bottom, we have in last place generic Space Marines, 6.25% of the meta, 42.12% win rate, 0 event wins, and 5 top 4s. In second to last, we have Eldari, 3.6% of the meta,
What?
42.6% win rate, 1 top 4, no event wins, 0.45 over rep.
Can we just hold on?
Yeah, go for it. You interject whenever you feel angry.
What? How? Why? What? What is happening? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Have you played against Eldar in the last couple since the patch?
Dude, every team at ITT has the stupidest Eldar list I've ever seen. And just 75 units you can't interact with, and then more inter units you can't interact with.
Dude, what the fuck? That's nuts. That is crazy to me.
I assume they're all just still playing Wraithguard because they're just listening to a Tactical Tortoise video from September last year still.
Maybe? Dude, Hugo is the only person I've ever had score points going second in corners against me. I don't understand how 40, what was it? 42 and a half?
0.57% win rate. Yep.
What?
With 37 players. In
Crazy.
third from the bottom, we have the Tau, new codex, debuting on the block with 45 players for 4.46% of the meta, a 42.62% win rate, 0.05% better than, 0.05% better than Eldari, with 0 event wins, 2 top 4s, and a 0.75 over rep.
Okay. Look, I get that I sit in my big stupid ivory tower these days. I don't come down a lot into the singles land and knock over people's carts and shit anymore. But those bottom 3 make beyond no sense.
Space Marines, you got to remember, is not including things like Black Templar specific builds and things like that, right? So that's book Space Marines, so basically Vanguard Marines, and then people playing their fun things.
Again, just based on the games that I observe online in Discord and such, Glarg might be onto something here. It's the only explanation that I have.
Which is to say, can only imagine the Eldar and Tau players are purposefully tanking stats to get buffs in July.
Because I think I've seen Tau lose exactly once, and I haven't seen Eldar lose. So what is happening?
Built different, man.
I guess.
Fourth from the bottom, we have Chaos Knights, 29 players for 2.88% of the meta, with a 42.68% win rate and one top four for a 0.58 overrep. Fifth from the bottom, we have Deathwatch, who aren't real with their 3 players. Good luck, guys. And then the actual fifth from the bottom, we have Adeptus Custodes with 4.17% of the meta, 42 players, one top four, no event wins, and a 0.4 overrep. Rough. Custodes genuinely got hit pretty badly. I think
that's
on
not even that
balance,
bad relative to the complaining that happened. There right now. Let's just talk about that for a second. Right now, Custodians are better than Tau and Eldar
and Chaos Knights.
and Chaos Knights, which unsure. Don't know why or how, but apparently, is everyone just playing Purge the Foe for like 5 rounds of an event? Is that the
Potentially
the only answer I have to this? Is that
Custodes
like
really good at deploy servo skulls, and somebody ran a only
Yeah.
deploy servo skulls tournament? I don't know. Anyway, so to quickly run through them again, from bottom up, we have Space Marines, Eldar, Tau, Chaos Knights, Deathwatch, Custodes, Chaos Space Marines, Astra Militarum, Tyranids, Dark Angels, Black Templars, Adeptus Mechanicus, hitting the 48%
middle of the
win
pack,
rate,
baby.
picking up the middle. Blood Angels at 48.2, Chaos Demons at 48.7, slightly below the 50%. Drukhari and Votan both heading up exactly the center with 50% win rates. Imperial Knights, Death Guard, Adeptus Sororitas, Necrons, Grey Knights, World Eaters, Gene Circults, Orcs, Space Wolves, and Thousand Suns, making up our top.
Yo, shout out to World Eaters with as many event wins this weekend as they've had all edition pretty much.
Yeah. So event wins this week were 2 for Thousand Suns, 5 for Orcs, 1 for Gene Circults, 2 for World Eaters, 1 for Drukhari, shout out to Scary, 1 for Chaos Demons, 1 for Blood Angels, 1 for Black Templars, 1 for Tyranids, which was the biggest event of the weekend with Dallas Open. Shout out to Sam Pope for smashing it out with the Endless Swarm. Yeah, so that's our stats for the week. Unfortunately, we don't have Jeremy or Nathan with us to go through some even more, but hopefully that's given you guys a good overview of what is doing well in singles right now. I refuse to call this what's good right now because it hurts my head too much to do that. While seeing Eldar and Tau at the bottom, but
I don't even. I'm still like flabbergasted. I'm still just like, what? What?
If you add Orcs and Eldar's win rate together, you don't hit 100%. So
yeah, that's nuts. That's
yeah, Eldar are further from the middle than Orcs are. Right, Eldar are more bad than Orcs are good right now.
I mean, that was normally true just the other way around for a lot of the beginning of the edition.
Yeah, and Thousand Suns are better than every other faction. They are, yeah. If we're digging it like pure differential, they're plus 12%. Space Wolves at the worst, Space Marines at the worst faction are minus 8%. So they are 50% better than Space Marines are bad, is what the stats say right now.
What's the actual win rate percentage between the top and the bottom right now?
Thousand Suns win rate is more than 20% higher than Space Marines, like 20 pure percent. Space Marines are 42.12, Thousand Suns are 62.26, so it is 20.14% higher.
Yeah.
You, across the course of a 5-round tournament, win a full additional game with Thousand Suns than Space Marines.
Nice. Just based on faction selection.
Just based on showing up with Magnus instead of Gulliman, yep.
I mean, if you look at those numbers, I'm sure it's a much bigger gap.
That is probably true. I reckon Magnus might have a 62.26% win rate this weekend, to be fair.
Yeah, probably. I bet you Gilliman's is not 40-something.
It's probably a lot higher because there's only one dude doing it and he's having the best time going 3-2, but
maybe. God damn.
Hey, that guy's Mercy's weaknessing up Double Storm Raven and having the best time, and I hope
I'm still just like lost on these Tau and Eldar. Just like befuddled, confused, distraught, just upset. What?
You got to stop practicing with the Team America guys, man. You're getting a skewed view of the meta.
I fucking guess. How? There's so many things. Like.
All right, then. Let's do that. Why are Tau so good, Anthony?
The whole thing has assault. The whole thing. Has assault, all of it. Every model in the shoot you to death army gets to be faster and shoot. And agnostic across all the terrain types that we play on. GW, UKTC, fucking player placed, WTC, any end of that extreme, there's one archetype that is very, very powerful. And it has always been, at least while I've played, fast gun. Why fast gun bad now? What the fuck? Fast gun not bad in my experience. Fast gun kill me fast. But I don't know. I don't know if it's like the combination of units people are taking. I don't know if people just like upset and just like trying to take suits even though they're not good anymore. I don't know what's going on, but I don't get it. Anyway, like they have like all the things, right? They have like auto advances, they have assault, they have like ignore cover in spades, they have also ignore cover is so stupid, by the way, just as like a separate side thing that we're like, this is the one defensive mechanic you get besides obscuring, which protects you unless the opponent is fast. And it's like, oh, okay, well, at least I'll have cover because they're going to see me anyway. And Tal's like, nah, bitch, surprise, you don't get that either, die. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Ignoring cover is good in the Everything is in Cover edition. It's true.
Yeah, ignore cover is good in the Everything's in Cover edition, and going faster with your guns is really good in the enemy is dead and now all the tactical objectives are easy to score edition. Like, I guess if you wanted to play Tau and just stay in your deployment zone, this could be a world where this is not very strong. Or you could venture outwards. You can leave and go just remove all the enemies.
All right, Anthony. Top 3 data sheets Tau players should be playing. Top 3 they should stop playing.
Should be playing?
Yeah. What should Tau players be putting in their lists?
It's got to be just like the breacher, the fish, the guy that goes with the breacher, right?
Okay, sure. Call that a package.
So does that count as one or two?
That counts as one. Yeah.
Okay, that counts as one. Stealth suits, right? Everybody's probably running those. I have to assume
because they infiltrate. Are gone. So
yeah, that's the only source of rerolls, right? And then like I don't fucking know, riptides, like. Yeah, all those seem pretty fucking busted to me. Now, granted, I am uniquely suited to be afraid of the like strength 9, 8, whatever guns that everyone is ditching because they don't kill tanks anymore or whatever, right? Everyone's like, multi-meltas are bad, and I'm my 8-bound are like, oh, thank Jesus. Like
Anthony, the only man existentially terrified of the Gladiator Valiant.
Oh god, it's the worst, dude. Get shot by that thing was terrible. Yeah, like I don't get it. I've just watched like game after game after game of just like you name it in the meta, basically just getting fucking blasted, and it's just nope. And like the 3 things that people should be running are like any fucking suit unit.
Well, that works. Stop running. Starting. Nobody was running them, but stop running Sunforge teams, guys. They're fucking dog shit.
Actually, no, those are kind of cool. I disagree.
You can pay 300 points for your 6 melta shots if you want. I'm and a character, or you can have 2 breacher teams in Devilfish.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Breacher tier list. It's got to be Tau breachers, then Cataphrone breachers, then Imperial Navy breachers, right?
But like, think about that for a second. Surely, if Cataphrone breachers could go into a real army, they'd be sick. That data sheet's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's a big gap between 1 and 2.
That's
there's
fair.
A very big gap between 2 and 3, right?
Yeah.
Are there any other breachers? It's not as good as the Castellan tier list, which is the Knight Castellan, Crone Castellan robots, and the Castellan for
Black Templars.
Black Templars.
Isn't that guy just like a bad lieutenant though?
Yeah. He gets different warrior options that are worse because you can't take the Neovolkai pistol guy from
Nice. That's strong.
Yeah. He's just worse than that guy. But he's the same points because warrior is fake.
Yeah. I think that like the Sunforge unit could be cool, but like that's what we're talking about, right? Like,
we tried it a bunch with Farsight. It was like not very good.
Does it need +1 to wound more than it uses like any of those other buffs though?
It was more for like the free strat and stuff as well. Were pretty helpful. Like it was fine,
Does he do
but it's
that?
also like that unit's going aggressively, like having foresight in it to go like do something when it's there seemed
Yeah.
good. But
Look, I don't know shit about Tau past that. Like at the end of their shooting phase, I'm more upset than I thought I was going to be every time.
yeah, that's fair.
Also,
I get
lethal's
upset every
crazy
time a TIE
good.
player rolls a lethal hit. I'm just like, you shouldn't have this. Stop it.
Yeah, the lethals is fucked up because we're like, oh, like at least the guns are pretty low strength. Now the addition changed. It's not so bad. You get shot, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah.
It's one of those ones where like you're playing CSM, you're like, I can't be upset about you having lethal hits, but I am anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm still mad. I had a single Riptide just casually crack the dream and hit 24 damage into one of my tanks, and I was like,
I didn't need
yes, I'm
that.
dead.
Yeah, that didn't need that guy. He wasn't important.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I'll seem nuts. There's a bunch of units
I
in
like
town that are
that.
crazy.
Yeah. I do like that. I think they need a deft hand though. They're one of those armies that, again, you're playing on a knife's edge with an army that gives up bring it down. If you fuck up, the game is gonna come down hard on you.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is definitely that I haven't taken fixed in like a full calendar year at this point, but like the one time I did, it was like a egregious error.
Yeah, you've been playing World Eaters too much.
Yeah, well, and like fucking Pirate Land is good at it too. So
Yeah,
it's like,
fair.
it's hard not to do that.
I'm gonna enjoy my last weekend with Nurglings doing homers. It's gonna be great because I'm not putting them in my lists in the new book. Too many warp talent points.
That must be it. I just like never. I get to the end of every CSM list, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was supposed to put Nurglings in this. Oh, I didn't. Now whatever. Like,
yeah, it's just like I really want these, but I'm not cutting any of that stuff.
I don't know why. Like, I'm not particularly attached to any of the units, but like, I refuse to cut them for Nurglings, which I know is good. I don't know.
We're all just built wrong. Like maybe we should just start every list with 2 squads of Nurglings and just tell the CK player they're not allowed demons if you have a TK player for some reason.
Wait, this is very important to me. So I was talking to Brian the other day about how he writes lists, and he writes them like a sociopath. But I want to ask how you do it first before I tell you how he does it, so I don't accidentally offend you live on air.
I mostly go in with like a generalized concept that I like the idea of. Like this is a thing I want to build around or a block of units that I know I like. And I put that in and then I go vaguely how many points do I have left? Okay, let's fulfill other like requirements of good list building. Like make sure I have some scoring units I like, tweak them out, see what fits.
So
see
you
what
don't
doesn't,
just
change
like pile all the units that you want into
no,
a
and then
list
trim until you get
and then cut
like,
until it's
away.
legal.
Yeah.
I was blown. I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I have this good list, but it's over." And I was like, "How? We didn't get nerfed recently. Why is it over? What do you mean?"
I sometimes I get it where I'm like 200 points over because I've like added in one extra block. So I'll just put that block in and see if it fits. And I'm like, all right, cool. Which block is the least important? Which can I trim from, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I'm never like, all right, here's the 3,000 points I like. What's coming out? That would be horrifying.
It was crazy man shit. I was blown away. I was like, what? How do you do that?
Yeah, Brian, everything Brian does, you can assume to be like a psychopath. Now, if you're out there, guys, and you build lists like that, we hate you. I think that's very important.
You're also crazy. You're crazy, and you should respond in the comments and tell us why you're not crazy. Because
Or, like, honestly, what I would like to see is, could you just, like, film yourself building a list on New Recruit? Because, like, I need to see what that looks like.
I would also accept that.
Yeah. Like, tag us, put it on TikTok, whatever you got to do. All right, Anthony. I had my spiel last week. Talk to us about the new CSM codex.
Dude, this book is awesome. So I think people are complaining just like a shitload for no reason. Like the book is great. There's like 3 perfectly acceptable competitive detachments, and there are 3 detachments that belong in Crusade. And that is 3 detachments more that are good than lots of books get. So I think people need to just chill the fuck out a little bit. That's coming from someone that's like often fairly negative about decisions Games Workshop makes.
Anthony loves a rant, guys. This is scary.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
This is what it used to be like when we first started, before I was hardened by years of terrible decision making. Genuinely, it is pretty good. Like, Reavers is really cool. Soul Pact is really cool. This Index detachment is really cool. If you play the Index detachment right now and are happy, shut the fuck up about the codex. Just keep doing that and enjoy your busted ass warp talons, because ain't shit change. Like,
it definitely got a
blows me
little bit
away.
worse, but not enough to be like mad about it.
Yeah, what are we doing? Stop being crazy. Take some icons, use Abaddon to reroll the packs if you need your sustained 5s that bad. Figure it out.
Be
Like,
really sad about Abaddon not having marks anymore, which I will admit is sad.
I guess just don't put him in the fucking Terminator unit that was already bad. That unit hasn't been good since people started to remember that there's a second profile under the ranged weapons
Oh,
line.
dude, Team England have that this weekend, and their list is like Abaddon,
I saw
3
what
Vindicators,
the
3
fuck?
Predators, and 10 Terminators, and I'm like, I want to play against that with Blood Angels so bad.
Yeah, one countercharge unit at WTC last year was enough for me to change my matrix down a color. Like, but no one had them, so it didn't matter. I just got to Nurgle strat 700 points of army at a time and then be like, yay, bro, your move, I guess. Anyway, so there's a bunch of shit that's really good now. And a lot of the things that people like state as counterplay against CSM, and genuinely one of the things that used to be really annoying against as the CSM pilot was lots of trash, gumming up your ability to play the game while they held objectives with garbage and nonsense and this and that. Fortunately, we have like the single most broken, like probably datasheet ability, period, in like the last like several books. That warp talent ability is nuts. Just point blank, period. Does not matter the context.
It's the most broken rule since Wraithguard shoot back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That
it is
that
to melee
right.
units what Wraithguard are to shooting units.
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
probably
And
how I would
look,
describe it.
I don't think it's like wrong that something like this exists, right? If we're gonna play a game where elves get to like shoot you in fire and fade and be uninteractable, and like all this stuff is gonna exist, where like these really cheap units and there's gonna be tons of them, and all this shit is gonna be like uninteractable. I don't think it's wrong that melee gets its own way to do something similar, but it is really fucking good. Is it
It's also
too good?
bad that only CSM have it because it's a problem that everybody's dealing with, right? So that's
Yeah,
also fair. There
yeah.
should be more rules like this, maybe not this specific version, but more ways to interact with that kind of unit.
I think there should be more ways to fight and fade, right? Like if we're gonna leave shoot and fade in the game, fight and fade should also work. Anyway, the Talons should not be 110 points. Period. They just shouldn't. That rule is too strong. It's dumb. But if it's gonna be too strong and dumb, like, Wraiths picked up an extra wound. They're the same cost. Technomancers can join those fucks now. No point change on their end. Meganons, night and day difference between the codex and now. Same point cost. So we'll ride that train for a little bit. If it works out, sick. If not, that's fine too. However, that rule is strong enough that you will cut other shit first, which you can see from Josh Roberts' excellent decision making of leading the charge on the Necron nerfs and then bravely, powerfully playing the exact same list and pulling out one Doomstalker for his ITT list. So
to be fair, I think there was a lot of that because that's exactly what Dave Gaylor's done with his guard as well. He was he was giving it a lot of lip on Fireside to submit the exact same fucking list with the Vanquisher in it.
Yeah,
I love this game.
It's so stupid. So CSM in general is really strong because the warp talents have solved what was previously like a fundamental issue of the codex, right? Now, how you go about doing the rest of your CSM things is entirely dependent on what detachment you're playing. You don't see any real weight in like a bunch of the like Black Legion Iron Warriors, that sort of stuff. Maybe someone smarter than me will figure that out. I'm sure right now there's like a German man yelling at his screen who is much smarter than me, because in that country CSM is very powerful. And I don't know what they're playing right now, but I'm sure it's some OP shit that we haven't figured out.
Malta's playing 30 Warp Talons, but
that sounds right. I believe that.
Who isn't, right?
Yeah. Like the ability to just be like, surprise, no, with so many units is so good. I don't think I've had a game yet where like those 3 Warp Talon units having killed it. Like I think the floor of units they've killed is 9 units. Yeah, it just like it fixes a lot that enables you to like do other things. Now, what those other things are is going to depend on which detachment you're playing, right? Is it going to be take a bunch of guns and make them like way stronger than they would otherwise be with Soul Pact? Is it going to be take, do the CSM thing and play the index detachment? Now your damage cap is the moon? Maybe. I don't know what the right way necessarily to build out the rest of the list is yet. But assuming the points stay the same way that they are now, there's a bunch of really good options, a bunch of really good ways to build this. It also is one of the first books that I've seen have different detachments make different units good in different ways, or the same unit good in different detachments in different ways to make it worth running. A lot of the like complaints about the Space Marine book is that like, well, it just tells you what to play, right? Like you're just going to use the shoot units and the shoot detachment, and you're going to go shoot stuff because that's what it fucking tells you to do.
That's not true. Ironstorm impulsors are way fucking different. And that's it. That's the only one I have.
I mean, a bunch of the Ironstorm stuff is really good in Ironstorm, but it's not good in the Suns, right?
Yeah. Well,
and that
impulsors are
applies
good in Suns as well for different reasons. It's the only one I'll claim. They got impulsors right by giving them war gear in one of the detachments.
Sure. And one of the detachments, they're war gear eliminators.
Exactly.
How has that still not been fixed, by the way? How are we still in current patch playing with that? Whatever. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of flexibility in a bunch of the detachments, especially with the recent WTC ruling that you can take Cult Marines in CSM and not have it chew up those Cult Marine slots. There's a fair amount to explore there, so it's a really interesting, well put together book. Granted, we'll see how it does on power level. CSM, and Innes and I were talking about this before the podcast, is a very like play Warhammer book. It's very like combined arms. You're in there in the fight phase and the shooting phase and the charge phase. You're doing stuff and things. And if that book does not get its point cost right, it is just worse than whatever is currently the best combined arms army. And it's Eldar.
Or Blood Angels, Sons.
Sure, it's Eldar. The stats will show that eventually. Maybe not. Maybe after WTC season. But the that army is very reliant on like being a touch on the undercosted side, because what it's doing is it's playing fair Warhammer, but better. So if it's not a touch undercosted, it's going to get just blasted, right? It makes its money on being like good enough in melee to keep up with the melee armies while also having guns, or being good enough in shooting to keep up with the shooting armies while also having some countercharge. If you can manage that equilibrium as CSM, you'll do great. If you can't, you won't. And some of that will be points, some of that will be list design, some of that will be player stuff. But it's an army that like really, really is susceptible to just being like, I didn't play it that good and I lost 3 units that turn or whatever that wasn't supposed to. Now your army is just bad.
Oh no, my Lord of Skulls exploded in my deployment zone.
That shit's not good. I've had that happen. That's not fun at all. Lose both Warpsmiths right away.
Yeah, the Soulforge Warpack Alpha Legion matchup is the sketchiest thing I've ever heard of, right?
Oh god, I'm sure that's terrible. Mostly because one of you took Alpha Legion.
Fair point. I mean, if you're playing an Alpha Legion versus Lord of Skulls, I'm assuming it's Nathan's Crusade League, but
sure, maybe. Or maybe it's just like, round 2 at WTC or whatever, or round 3, whatever round the like bottom 2 play each other.
I don't know. I'll ask Canada what their schedule's like. All right. Do we have anything else to vamp on with CSM?
Oh,
so your top
came out
two detachments for you said were Raiders, Soulforge Warpack, and the book one, right?
Yeah, you play like Index. Those all seem like reasonable detachments. The Cultist one looks like shit, but I am always going to be biased against that. Yeah, that's real. And like some of the other ones are fine, I'm sure, but like it's just not stuff that I'm trying to do. We have like a very particular situation in Team USA, right? Where like I am often the CSM pilot and the World Eaters pilot. And if you've been paying attention all the last couple months, doing pretty good in teams with World Eaters. So whatever it is that CSM is doing has to be better than what I'm going to do with World Eaters. So it's got to be pretty fucking good for me to be like, yo, I'm playing that instead, right? I will say, I did play a game of World Eaters last night after only playing CSM for a couple of weeks, and I was like, damn, my turret ranges are so far, my army hits so hard.
Activating a sort of 8-bound is genuinely overpowered. You feel so powerful when you're rolling that unit out.
I had Angeron kill 3 Armigers at the same time, and I was like, yes! Like, nothing in CSM does that.
Abaddon can go nuts. I've
I
definitely
mean,
had Abaddon clean clock some things, but
I used to have Abaddon clean clock lots of things when he had exploding fives. Unfortunately, that's not part of his rule set anymore.
that is also true. Yeah, I'm gonna have one more good weekend with that.
Yeah.
I had him full kill a Mega Knob squad through the Feel No Pain from full.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. I love the
100
Abaddon
to
just
0.
like crush shit me. Oh, it's so good.
I think he left the war boss on like 1 wound, and then I
Dude,
was
I've
like,
had him
I have a squad to activate still.
having him just like full blitz a Wraith Knight from full at WTC is probably the most excited I've ever been about a unit activation. Um Sorry, homie from Cyprus that let that happen, but it was really good for me.
Rest in peace, Profane Zeal.
Yeah. I mean, Profane Zeal wasn't even part of that equation.
OG Profane Zeal. I know it didn't matter for the Terminator squad.
Yeah, I was gonna say same thing now.
I had Abaddon kill Morty from full last night. It felt real good. I've had that happen
Dude,
to me on the other side.
yeah,
It's depressing.
Abaddon slams hams, dude. That guy hits hard as fuck. There's a lot of things you can complain about with like Abaddon's rules or whatever. His ability to stab you to death is not on that spectrum at all. He was the
Oh,
first strength characteristic that I saw in 10th that I was like, strength? What? He's strength like 14 or something. I was like, what the fuck?
4, 3 devastating
Yeah,
wounds.
why?
Yeah, back when we needed sweep profiles for some reason.
9 attacks. Like, what do you ever? I've used the clock twice, and both of them were against Gene Stealer Cole. Like,
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
the only other thing to vamp on is the Emperor's Children Index. And if
Oh
you
yes,
thought,
we did name the episode after it. After
yeah,
all,
and if you thought we were getting a detachment for this, you fucking played yourself. You have you to be mad at, and not Games Workshop for that one. Because,
they never promised a detachment.
dude, they didn't
They
say
did
shit.
promise an index, which I
Whatever.
assumed would include a detachment, but I was
Why?
like
Why would
not
you assume that?
surprised. I
Like
don't
you,
know.
they were like, look, we're gonna give you Lucius and we're gonna give you Noise Marines. And the minute they were like, you can use CSM detachments, you should have been like, pack it up, boys, we're going home. We'll figure this shit out when we get a codex. The only world in which you are ever gonna get anything else is when you get a codex. Is crazy to me. Crazy. Just be happy that Lucius kept fight first. And I like the amount of people that I've seen complain about like his character res mechanic is like, did you just never use him before and you've just decided to be mad today? That shit's been the same the whole time. Why do
And
we
it
give a
was
shit?
admittedly dog shit in the index as well, but
It's funny that it does mortal wounds either way. That definitely can take some shit down on the way out. I've had people throw random battle shock tests that matter. That's just the same thing. It's a perfectly acceptable rule on a model that gives you fights first. I feel like people just gloss the fights first part. That rule is fucking nuts. Like, the amount of times that a game is just like, bloop, the game's a mess now because a fight first unit heroic when it wasn't supposed to is just a disaster. That happens all the time. I don't know. It's crazy.
I do kind of like the idea of a 10-man Legionnaire squad. If they fix the Rhino Scout thing, 10-man in Raiders with the Master Executions giving them Scout with Lucius,
Or
that'd
just
be
let
so
that
fun.
happen. I would not play that as not working right now. The people that
No,
are
me
like,
neither.
that
I think
doesn't
it's
work.
really stupid, but
Yeah, yeah. I would just play with that working and assume that people will grow their brains out later.
yeah, but that would be good fun. I think somebody should do that. Don't actually play a 10-man, play a 5-man and another 5-man in the Rhino with them, because the 5-man with Lucius and 2 melee weapons is going to be better than a 10-man, but
It's like
don't sweat
basically
it,
the same, but yeah.
pretty much. Sorry, I can't wait for the big brain people playing 8 Accursed Cultists in a Rhino to give it Scout. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see in my
Can they even
in the
join
future.
rhinos?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's just non-Terminator.
Okay. It used to be non-cultist for a hot minute there, I'm pretty sure. That's why I was like,
That doesn't sound right, but I would have to double check the book, and I can't be bothered.
well, I remember because World Leaders and T-Sons don't have that caveat. It was weird that CSM and
Okay.
Death Guard did.
I just think it's weird that Death Guard cultists don't have a data sheet rule. They're like one of like 2 units in the game that don't have one.
Well, they would give them sticky, but
Yeah, I know, but well, I mean, eventually they'll get a detachment that doesn't have sticky though, right? Like,
isn't it
so
the army rule?
no, it's the detachment rule. It's the thing that gives them contagions. Is the same thing that gives them that. Like, contagions is the army rule. The spread sickness is the detachment rule for.
Oh. Dude, Death
And
Guard's
then
rules are such a disaster that I have no idea which part staples to
so
what.
it's weird. Nurgle's gift is the army rule. Spread the sickness is the detachment rule, which is the sticky, but the extra contagion is also a detachment rule. So the -1 toughness is an army roll. The minus weapon skill stuff is a detachment roll. So when they get a new detachment, it will presumably have something else besides that.
One can hope. But
T-Sun's rhinos can't hold cultists, says Brian. Good.
fuck them. T-Sun shouldn't be able to do anything.
One limitation on Thousand Suns exists, and it's that.
Even count that, honestly.
I
But
didn't say it was a big limitation.
yeah, look,
Now, the fact that the cultists are like faster than the rhino a decent portion of the time, also problematic. But
stupid. I think it's crazy that people were like, "Oh, I can't believe we can get a whole detachment for all these new." What? It's not a codex. They told you were going to use the CSM detachments. Detachments don't care about marks. You just get to run Lucius and Noise Marine for free. It doesn't even matter. Quit crying. God,
you
CSM
can't
player
run
base.
Abaddon and Lucius. That's the only thing you can't do. And
oh no,
reasonable. That's fine.
Yeah. The CSM player base is so fucking whiny that it makes me look positive. Like
maybe Anthony, Lucius the character card you need and so forth for back.
Dude, maybe that shit's sick. I don't fucking know. Maybe that's dope. You stand them near stuff, you heroic people. That sounds hype. That could be pretty good. Worth trying because we got a deep, interesting codex full of good rules. Oh no!
And yes, Noise Marines are OC1. Yes, it is sad. They should probably be OC2.
Noise Marines are just shit. Just put them in the nothing box. They're bad.
Fine.
Boop! That unit's not real till we get a codex.
They don't even have a kit, guys. Come on.
Hey, you can't buy them anyway. Who gives a shit? Put them away.
To be fair, if somebody showed up with 5 of the guitar guy, I would be very impressed.
I would be sad because that unit sucks. What was so good? Right. Noise Marines with a Blastmaster were so good in 9th. Terrible now. That's okay. You can be bad for a little while as long as you get better eventually. It's much like playing 40k.
All right. I think that'll do for that. Anthony, is there anything else you want to talk about competitively before I do some plugs and then we'll move on to doing the show questions?
DreamHack's in 2 weeks. That's pretty exciting, but that's pretty much it. That's the next
Tell people about it. Where can they watch? What can they do? What are they seeing?
Oh man, I don't have any of that prepared. I didn't write any of that shit down. So any of the places that you would normally watch the DreamHack event, I'm sure if you Google that shit, something comes up. You can watch us play teams-based 40k. I don't know any more info than that. But we are going to be playing in an exhibition event. We are playing against United Midwest Project, Art of War, and Pro Tabletop. Not in that order. I think we play Art of War, then Pro Tabletop, then United Midwest Project, but don't quote me on that. Us being Team USA in this scenario. So we have a pretty fun team going. It's a bunch of it's a mix between our academy team and our starting team. We're taking some offbeat stuff as far as the meta goes. Mr. Brian Jones is playing for us. So we're playing Imperial Knights in the roster, which is going to be really interesting. It'd be one of the first times that we don't often play with that in circulation for us. Team USA in general has a bit of an anti-knight bias, even when they're good. You can see this from our 22 roster as well as our 23 roster. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's a bunch of exhibition 8-man team games. So that should be fun. The round we play against Art of War, you can watch us play against Typhus. So that'll be funny. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hang out in Dallas, go to this cool event. Going to be sweet. So a bunch of good teams playing. Got some of the top teams from the NTL and then Team USA. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Extremely good stuff. So we will at some point probably find a link for that. If you're in the Static Patreon Discord, you will probably get pinged when it goes live and all that.
Oh yeah, just a whole bunch of pings will happen if you're a person.
Yeah, I mean Typhus is going to be there, so you can assume that there will be much loving of him on stream. So
yep.
All right, shall I do the plugs? Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us so far for episode 92 of Stat Check, Nobody's Children. We hope you've been enjoying the stats and Warhammer meta coverage. If you'd like to support the work we do, you can check us out at patreon.com/statcheck. $5 a month gets you access to our Patreon Discord, the Vibe Check League, access to the community members. There's so many amazing players in there sharing incredible things. Not a lot right now because it's WTC season, but there's definitely still a lot of people talking and complaining about it being WTC season, which is my favorite time of year. You can check if you're in a position to if you're not in a position to do that, if you can check out us on youtube.com/statcheck. You can drop us a like, a comment, subscription, all that good stuff that helps us out with discoverability and just getting the word out there for more stat check stuff. I think we've been, averaging pretty good numbers on our videos recently, so it's been really awesome to see the growth in that. So thank you guys. I mean, obviously the tier list video absolutely blew the numbers out of the water. So when Anthony's not around, we'll make sure we do more of them for discoverability. I know it hurts his feelings.
Anyone but me doing them, I don't care. I just don't want to do them.
That's very fair. You can check out all the other shows on our network. That's Enter the Matrix, X and One, Take All Comers, and Champions of 40K. Anthony, you did a Champions of 40K episode recently. How was that?
I did. It was awesome. I mean, doing anything with Steve Joel's great, right? Like, the man's just the best. So yeah, check that out. I think it was the first one to publish, question mark? One of the
I think
early
it's
ones.
the fourth one. The first one was one of the Vanguard or the
Tabletop Tactics
Tabletop
boys, right?
Tactics Titans, something like that, guys. I forget now.
One of the TT letter acronym lads.
That's fair. You can check out all of the wonderful sponsors who bring the show to the network. You can check out Red Dragon at red-dragon.ca. They are the #1 games provider for Jeremy in Ottawa, and I don't know if they're #1 in Ottawa, so I can't actually say that. But they're one really great group of guys. Dan is fantastic. He supports the show in a lot of ways. If you're a StatCheck patron, you can get 20% off through your Patreon membership. You can check out Saltar Games at etsy.com/Saltar Games. I think there's like some intervening things in there, but if you search Saltar or show up, they do widgets and tokens and measuring gauges and all that sort of thing for your Warhammer needs. And you can use code StatCheck15 to get 15% off on your order. And you can also check out Wayland Yutani, who are the terrain provider for WTC. You can use code StatCheck5 there. They are wayland-yutani-inc.com. You can check out stat-check.com/coaching for help from either myself, Typhus, Jeremy, or Nicholas Olsen Johnson from Take All Comers, who's our most recent addition there, or you can drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com, and we'd be more than happy to get back to you about helping you with anything 40K related. If you want to hear from Anthony, check out Art of War, because it's easier for him. What else do we have? We have our new merch, which is gamersapparel.co.uk/store/statcheck. That's in the description. If you want to get shirts, jerseys, wall flags, mugs, anything like that, that is available there now. Hopefully, mine should be showing up soon. I was hoping to have it for ITT, but unfortunately, it's not been shipped yet. But we will hopefully have that soon to start wearing on the show, because wearing StatCheck gear all the time would be so much cooler. I think that's all I got. I don't think I have to plug anything else. All right, we're going to move on to the show questions now. There are 2 ways to get your question asked, guaranteed to answer the show. You can either chuck us a super chat in the YouTube comments, or you can ask it in the Patreon show thread question. The third way is a very likely way, but not guaranteed. Ask a really cool question in chat that we just happen to like. Other than that, we're going to move on. Anthony, I will handle the asking if you want to handle most of the answering.
Okay.
Well, not most of the answering, but half of it at least.
That sounds real. It depends on how many questions are for me, right?
That is fair. So we know 3 primary missions are leaving the Leviathan pack when we move to Pariah. What 3 missions do you hope to see gone?
I've never looked forward to anything in 40K less than this mission pack. But ideally, they'll get rid of like servo skulls. I'm trying to think of anything else that gives me like immense pain when I'm like, why are we doing this? Alpha Omega seems pretty stupid. And I'm like very insulated from this because I don't really play anything but like Taking Hold and Scorched Earth and Prios, it feels like, and those 3 are fine.
Sights of Power is the other one that I think is really stands
out. Oh,
the weird,
yeah,
awkward one. The
that,
character standing on objectives one.
Yeah, that one's
I think I would
stupid.
be inclined to say those 3 are probably the ones that should go. I personally really like Vital Ground. I think it's a very interesting and different mission.
Vital Ground's fine.
Strongly negative opinions on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Servo Skull, Sights of Power. I think I could see the ritual going away just because it's not because it's
it's a bastard
necessarily a bad
play.
mission, but it's just awkward to play, and I think it creates some negative play experiences.
These stupid things.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that would be a reasonable one as well if you want, because like Sights of Power would with like a couple of reworks would probably be fine. Like it's not a necessarily bad mission; it just rewards some awkward things. Purge probably shouldn't score kill more on turn 1 is another thing that I think is
just shouldn't score kill on turn 1. Oh, I would also love it if Purge was gone. See, look, you're reminding me of all these missions that I forgot about now.
Okay. There are a lot of rules with the unit below half strength rider, like Battle Shock plus wood, etc. Do these sort of rules get more interesting, and does the game better if they triggered at half strength instead of below half strength?
I think anything that works like that should just be below starting strength, and whatever the front half of its bonus is should just be always on. I fucking hate those rules.
Do you think Battle Shock should be any unit that's below starting strength?
Sure.
Magnus grenades and gets grenaded, and he starts taking battle shocks in case there's another one.
Yeah, good. Idiot. I don't like, not necessarily all those rules, but all the ones where it's like the fucking detachment bonus and stuff is like, come on, bro.
I think
Except for
whenever you battle shock, you shouldn't be allowed to on battle shock for the rest of the game. You're shocked now, tough shit.
I don't feel that way, and I
I
don't
don't
want to see
either. I
what
just think it would be inflammatory.
I don't want to see what John would do with Nids if that was true.
That's fair. I do think if you were battle shock, you should have to test it on battle shock. But
It shouldn't be automatic. I can see that.
yeah. Okay. Has anyone blown up an own opponent's vehicle with deceptors yet? Every game I played with deceptors, I've only killed vehicles in combat and been too scared to do it. Like Abaddon
Boo.
kills a Land Raider in my opponent's lines. I'm not killing Abaddon with him. No, I'm not doing that.
Lame.
I know, I'm a coward. What's your favorite type of birthday cake?
My family's made the same birthday cake since I was like tiny. It's like a tradition on my dad's side. It's just a fucking yellow cake with chocolate icing.
Fair enough. I'm very partial to like the really shitty Tesco fondant cakes that just like it's just a regular ass cake with way too much icing on it, but I like icing. So
I see.
the
Yeah,
higher
we
like icing to like surface area ratio, the better for me.
half the tradition is that we eat like a normal humane amount of it the night before, but then for breakfast it just gets smashed.
It's a good tradition.
It's pretty good.
Okay. Next questions. Someone ping me on Discord, and now I've lost the question thread.
Don't
I'll
get
be back.
distracted. Focus.
I didn't get distracted. My Discord auto flipped. With AOS faction focuses starting on Tuesday, which AOS faction would get you to play if it's stupid good in the edition? Nothing. Sorry, I don't play Sigmar.
Blades of Corn are cool. Soulblight Gravelords are cool. I like both of those armies quite a lot. Obviously, the one that I own, the fucking Flesh Eater Courts, too. I own actually all three of those armies.
Sorry, mine's not true. If they put Tyranids in AOS, I'd go play it. That'd be great.
Sure. I mean, they basically... Whatever. We'll talk about that later.
No, like actual Tyranid models. Like
I understand.
I want to play them. That'd be great. Just they found the like floating plains and Tyranids are invading it now. I'd do that. That'd be great. Thoughts on what GSE will look like with 5 detachments? How will Games Workshop mess up balancing the army rule again? Catastrophically, I assume.
I have no thoughts on this, like literally at all. This is a thing that like we can't know. It could be sick. It could be shit. Who fucking knows?
I also have strong Games Workshop have never gotten GSC right even once and will continue to never get them right because that army does not have a design philosophy. It has like 17 design philosophies in a trench coat trying to convince you that they're communists.
Yeah, I don't know what they want to do with them.
Yeah, like what do they want GSC to be? Do they want them to be like, because I take that back. The first time they ever printed GSC, they had the stupidest, most broken mechanics. It was every unit could go off the board at the end of every turn, like Hypercrypt, and they came down and they rolled on a random table to determine whether they came on from like the board edge or underneath you, or like could come in closer and move, or if they came on from like their board edge, right? And it was completely random. And every time they went off the board, they recovered models, right? So they would, if you had like a squad of 3 dudes off the board, they got D6 guys back. That was just every time. And it was bonkers fucking broken, but it was also the only time they've ever felt thematically appropriate because it was like they were retreating and coming back in and attacking you from all the different angles, and it was utterly nuts. And since then, they've been chasing the high of making some of that work, but not all of it, and it doesn't really do that. I don't know. I don't know how you make GSC interesting, but not broken. They're always one or the other.
And if you can't be balanced,
you have to be bad. Unless Eric's playing you, in which case you'll be broken anyway.
That's true. That shit was busted.
Okay.
We fucked that up.
And hi, Anthony. It's not there, but like in spirit, it's there. My friend is playing World Eaters, and he says he thinks the Terminators are great and thinking about starting to play them. What can I say to him to make them realize they're shit, or should I just end the friendship?
They are, bar none, the worst unit in the index. Like, not close, the worst one. I would play a Helldrake before I played them. Like, they are so fucking bad. The problem with them is not... Hold on, I'll get there. The problem is not even that they're just, like, complete shit. It's that they're why, though. Like, there is nothing they do at their point cost that anything else in their role basically does not do better. They are slow, which is awful in World Eaters. They don't shoot very well, which if you want a shooting thing, don't take them because they're not very good at it. And they're just like every part of them is wrong. Like the durability isn't actually that much more durable than like a unit of 8 pound. Like, yeah, you're 1 point better on like save and in one, but like we're not an army with AOC, so that's not a thing. And your Philopane is worse than Exalted 8 pound. So unless you've somehow taken 18 Exalted 8 pound and have points left over at the end of your list, you still should just take something the fuck else. Like they're like roughly half the speed. They do less damage. The unit is so bad. It makes me so upset because I would love for something like Red Butchers to be good. Like Terminators painted in the scheme that I have my World Eaters painted would look fucking sick. And I have just zero fucking reason to use them.
Anthony,
Makes me
am I allowed
so
to
sad.
say that I hope that when the World Eaters get their book update, their character is a Terminator armor butcher surgeon?
Sure, if that does
and I hope he's just
something.
terrible. But
Yeah,
I want that to be the thing you get, just because I want to see the rage, because it will generate us so many clicks.
The thing I want more than anything is an 8 pound character that does not buff the unit at all and just fucking slams. But I'm probably not going to get that. I've just accepted that. That's fine. You're more likely it will be what you just said, right? That's very likely. And
you
he's
want the
going to
greater
give
possessed back, basically.
Yeah, that would be awesome. What will probably happen is that we're going to get a guy that gives them reroll charges against injured units or some fucking garbage.
And
But
his movement's 6 instead of 9, yeah.
yeah, sure. 5 even, like the Terminators. That unit makes me so mad. They like if they just had the CSM rule where they got like reroll hits from some trivial thing. They're like, if this unit has a blessing active, it gets reroll hits or whatever. Like, then maybe. But they don't. So bad. So bad. They are depressingly bad. That's all I can say.
They're depressingly bad. Don't do it. If he insists on playing them, just end the friendship, mate. You'll be fine.
Don't end the friendship. Just beat them senseless.
That can be the same thing as well, just so you know.
Sure. I didn't mean like literally beat them senseless. You could, but I don't think that's going to fix this problem. In fact, it might be how it started.
Okay. As content creators and coaches who are involved in some way with WTC, how do you balance answering questions, interesting content, or helping clients with not giving away WTC crits? The same as we did last year. We're just, slightly less open with what we're actively playing, and we don't talk about what our teams are doing.
Also,
That's
like
mostly it.
The shit that's good in singles is earnestly different than the shit that's good in teams, as we can see based on this week's fucking insane win rates.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I have clients who are going to WTC. It's just, we're not going to talk about Team Scotland stuff. And if they want help with their stuff, that's fine.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, it's, at the end of the day, that part is the job. The Team Scotland stuff is the hobby. There is a level of prioritization there as well. But yeah, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is why I'm playing this list because of blah, blah, blah for teams. But if I'm playing a list in singles, I'm going to talk about it. Like, who cares? Frankly, nobody's watching me that closely as well, which is, a little bit better. Anthony might have a little bit of a typhus watching him, but
yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm not going to pretend like Team USA doesn't get looked at, right? That's not real. But, like, there's a balance that exists. Like, there are things that are obviously good. You just do the obviously good shit. That's most of my fucking coaching brand anyway. Is me being like, hey man, what if we played some shit that won a whole fucking bunch without you being good or otherwise? Why don't we start there?
there's also
that works pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's also a little bit of when you're talking about what's good for your team, it doesn't always necessarily align for other teams' information anyway, and doesn't even help that much a lot of the time. Just because Anthony's playing one type of Space Marines list, for example, if he was going to stick with them, and he's playing Renegade Raiders, right? And he's playing it for this reason, but you're not going to know his matrix. You're not going to know the specifics of his list, what he's pairing for, right? Then none of that really helps you. Knowing that he's playing, 25 war towns instead of 30, right? Fucking who gives a shit, right? It's not really that helpful.
Also, knowing how I play it. If the last couple months of World Eaters taught me nothing else, it is that knowing what I'm playing and knowing how I'm playing are wildly different things.
Look, if knowing what the other team was playing mattered a fucking tall, Josh should have stopped winning with Canoptic Court by now.
Well, that man's never understood optics a day in his life. I don't know why he would start now.
Right. What's your preferred D&D class?
Like D&D proper or like Baldur's Gate, because those are
Answer
different
however you
questions.
please. I have no answer or context for this. So
In Baldur's Gate, I like Bard and Monk, not together, just like separately. Those are probably my two favorite characters that I've played. Um, that's it. Everyone always expects my answer to be like Berserker or Warrior, if I'm Fighter or whatever. Like I've had
yeah,
fun with those, but they're not as
Anthony,
fun
I
as
didn't
Monk.
know. I didn't know you thought about things.
Well, yeah, the usual answer. Did you like use strategy? It's the most like insulting thing that happens to me during 40k games.
Okay. How do AdMech, Tau, and Marines break out of Green Tide jail and overcome the Man-Stowed stat check? Dude, that's too many questions.
What was it?
How do AdMech, Tau, and Marines break out of Green Tide jail and overcome Man-Stowed's stat check?
Oh, that's like really easy for two of those.
Shoot them really hard?
Yeah, just hit them until they're dead. What?
Yeah, I mean it's
The
a good like the specifics are not there, man. AdMech, I don't know, man. They're OC 0 next to Vanguard. Do that a bunch and it'll be funny.
It can take them a while to kill 5-up invuln like 10 5-up invuln Vanguard is a legitimate like journey for a man's unit that's not in the WAD kill. Like they might not get there.
Yeah, AdMech can put them in bird jail. Yeah, like consider your army's nearest option to bird jail. Put them in scout jail. Do that. That'll be fun. Run 30 scouts. It'll be fine.
Marines just kill them. Like what?
I know.
How does the army with the Gladiator Reaper datasheet kill Green Tide? Ah,
Carefully.
not even particularly carefully. You can
Don't let
host
them
the
don't let the
wrong
blood
thing
surge
and
don't
kill
let the
them.
blood surge into your gladiator reaper, right? That's
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Or
Yeah.
do, but just let it be the front one. Who gives a shit?
Okay. Anthony, as someone who also practices Muay Thai, have you found any similarities between how you spar or fight and how you approach 40k?
Yeah, a ton. The way I approach angles and my like general level of like tempo and aggression almost exactly mirrors how I fight.
Fair enough. This weekend had the most diverse set of Marine detachments to make X1 in a while. For example, multiple Firestorm chapters, 2 Champions of Rust builds. Do you think this is more of a new meta flash in the pan, or could some of those be the start of a new trend? With the caveat being that CSM will be immediately. I think Firestorm is genuinely just pretty good, and that people have been underselling it for a while. It's not,
Firestar's just been like fine the
yeah,
whole time.
yeah.
Like
It's like
Olivia's list
the
that I played
fourth
against at
best,
WCW was
yeah.
good.
It's like the fourth or fifth best Space Marine detachment, but that's still perfectly viable, right? Like
Yeah,
Marines is a
Space
piece of
Marines are
work people
deep
don't
and
for.
strong. Like
Yeah. Now, it's also boring, but that's not really important.
yeah,
Um
that's not what we're talking about. This is not the
Champions of
weekly
Ross,
fun podcast.
Champions of Ross is just that those guys probably would have won whatever they were playing, is how I would describe that. That's probably a little bit of lists that are flexing, or somebody
Honest
who
to
just
God,
wanted to try it.
I've never played against the detachment. I have no idea what it does at all. I
It
know that
doesn't
like
do
if
much. I
something
like strongly reread it after after the Sons of Sanguinius stuff. I was like, I'm gonna like revisit a few of these attachments and just like double. There is stone, not a reason to play it over Gladius
oh,
that I was like
okay,
conceivably
cool.
coming up to. So I'm gonna go with somebody was flexing on their local meta or had a very good run a couple of times. It is. I say
It's
this in
also
the most privileged position possible. It is not It is not hard for a list to go 4-1. It is hard for players to go 4-1. But for a
that's true.
faction to put up a 4-1, it is not difficult for it to happen occasionally.
Yeah.
I think generally Thunderwolves are fairly well positioned in the meta, and that kind of datasheet. Wolfen are still very strong, and that playing a good datasheet in a bad detachment does not necessarily hold you back from having success if piloted well. Take from that what you want. Without me trying to sound like, it's not that hard to go 4-1, because it is. Going 4-1 is an 80% win rate. That
It's
is tough to do.
legitimately difficult and should be celebrated when it happens.
Yes.
It is still a result that I am okay with.
How does the cast evaluate the strength of the EC index with its 8 detachments? It's better than Dark Angels.
It's so much better than Dark Angels. It's like blindingly better than Dark Angels. Like again, like I feel like people have like lost the plot like like just a smidgen. Like because like like there's been so many bad books in 10th that are just like dog shit garbage, unplayable, or like blindingly unfun. And CSM's dope in comparison to a lot of that stuff. Is it as well like put together as Orcs? Probably not, but like it's not far off. It's got more good detachments, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Anthony, are you okay?
I'm doing great. Things are good. Job shit's
Good.
going well. I traveled a little too much, like a little too close together, so that was like kind of uncomfortable for a bit. But generally, I'm pretty good.
Okay. Do you think TOs are too harsh or not harsh enough with people getting rules wrong? Where do you draw the line where someone is genuinely forgetful and cheating?
This is not my job. Um, like I think I don't know. This is like a wildly complex issue. I think we could probably stand to have like some like
Yeah.
governing body that
From
handled this shit and like actually did stuff. I think that would be good. I think if you ask
from
TOs to make less money in a thing that already doesn't make good money, you're probably fucking up. But I don't know.
yeah. From the perspective of somebody who runs small tournaments, I generally are on the side of not being harsh with this stuff, mostly because there's no stakes here. If somebody gets something wrong once, it's kind of like, hey, be careful. If somebody gets something
Right.
wrong a second time, or very clearly does the same thing, that's when you'd step up. Or like, if somebody gets a rule wrong once, I'm not. You can't just kick someone out because they got a rule wrong. I get rules wrong 90% of the games I play, I'm sure, and I couldn't point to a single specific one, but I'm sure I've not played everything perfectly in most games I've played because nobody does. There's not a single human being out there who has picked up who's been perfect on everything. And I think that it's unfair to hold people to the standards of being perfect all the time in a game that has as many rules as 40k does. It's when it becomes a pattern and when it's the same issues that are coming up time and time again, and that means that you need to have vigilance and tracking and all that kind of thing. But I think you have to. This is a hobby at the end of the day, and we're not playing for fucking. Even at the WC level, we're not playing for anything really. We're playing for national pride, personal pride, all that kind of thing. There is a lot of room for leniency in that kind of thing. Now, when it becomes people doing the same things over multiple tournaments, multiple events, and even multiple playable, whether it's the same mistake, different mistakes, and you can see that, then I think the community is too lenient there. But for individual one-offs where people make a mistake, I don't think there's any need to go harsher for that. That seems like counterproductive to having people get involved in the game and have a good time, especially when they're new, because newer people are the people that are most likely to make big and
Yeah.
game critical mistakes. And that's, you don't want to turn those people off because otherwise the game, if it stops, stagnates, stop growing, people leave the scene and nobody replaces them.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, you can't lambast somebody for like slightly misplaying a consolidation or forgetting a rule and like misremembering it for a version in a game that changes as much as 40k does. It's just not fair to anybody.
Yep.
Give people the grace that you would hope to receive yourself if you made a mistake.
That generally applies to like most things.
That is also true. Can you skim the highlights of the AW tier list from today? No, I'm sorry,
I
Paul.
didn't look at it.
It hurt my feelings that the Vindicator was in B tier. Sorry, not the Vindicator. The Vindicator and the Predator were both in B tier, and that hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yeah, that's weird.
Um, does the War Boss get its extra attacks from its ability if it was in a transport when the wall was called? I
Yes,
refuse to acknowledge
enough.
the transport null zone as existing. Yes, it does. Everything should work in transports, except the stuff that obviously shouldn't. Um, transports are. I hate transport rules this edition. They're so strange.
I don't like what they've done. I also don't
Yeah,
think rules should work while you're in reserves, and I don't think you should be able to move after you come in from reserves. But that's
agreed
just
on all
me.
counts. We should probably play more things. Should be like 9th edition. Do you remember when we started the game with 12 CP, Anthony?
Vaguely? Did we start with that much?
You started with 12 and you bought detachments.
Oh, that was before me.
No, this was 9th.
No. Oh my god, it was. I forgot about like my mind was just like to that part. Yeah, I do remember that now. Actually, that was
Yeah, you
crazy.
started with 12. Your warlord refunded one, and then
Yep.
if you wanted a second patrol, it was -2.
For like a bit, he refunded the whole detachment, right? Yeah, one detachment. That's what it
Yeah,
was. Oh
and
my
then we moved
god.
to Arcs of Omen, and we started with 6, and then we got the regeneration. Yeah, dude, it was a
Oh
mess. You
man.
remember that?
I'm get the Arcs detachment. Oh yeah. Sad. The good old days. Things were so much easier. What the fuck?
Stat check potluck. What are you bringing?
Uh,
I
I
don't
don't
really
know.
cook so much. I'd bring some baked goods. I've been baking recently. That's all I got. I don't
Probably.
really
I don't
cook.
know. I've been making a bunch of pasta lately. It's been real like Italian here since my sister moved in. Like, yeah, that sounds right. Probably do that. I've also been asking
All right.
Dom for a lot of like sauce recipes and stuff, and he's been really good about that. So,
All right. I think we have 6 questions left.
all right,
As
we're
someone
doing
getting
it.
into AdMech, how many chickens and jetpack nerds is too many? On a serious, and then on a serious note, have you guys seen any lists that are interesting and not 60 Vanguard, 60 Rangers, or 27 Chicken?
As an addendum to your first question, can I instead recommend getting out of AdMech?
That would save you a lot of money. I don't know, dude. Admech are one of those armies that kind of like they're the only army that's like really a black hole in my knowledge. Um, there was a cool list that Galonka played at a Polish team event a couple weeks ago that I would recommend checking out. It's like a rad zone list that's only playing like 30 chickens, and then it has like 2 squads of breachers. Like that's kind of cool. I like breachers. I think they're pretty solid.
Wait, chickens like the walkers or chickens like the
No,
flats?
sorry, Sky Stalkers. Yeah,
Oh,
it had
okay.
no chicken walkers in it.
I was like,
It was like, yeah, 10, 5, 5 of each of the birds, so like 40, I guess. It's still a lot. Sorry, man. Admech's just an expensive army.
yeah.
Since guitar and guitar are the weapon instruments of Slanesh and the bagpiper is the weapon of Nurgle, what are the weapon instruments of Zinch and Korn?
I feel like Zinch is some type of fucking stupid flute.
Zinch, the horrors have.
Oh, actually, they have weapons that are like they have models with this, right?
Yeah, so Korn, so Bloodletters have horns,
Yep.
and I don't remember what Pink Horrors have. I seem to recall it being really stupid. Let me look it up. Somebody will know. Slanesh's instrument is people, though, right?
That's true. Yeah. The Infernal and Raptress or whatever has the harp man.
Yeah, that is a disgusting model that I hate looking at.
I love that thing.
Oh, they have like the weird. I don't know how to explain what it is, but it's like it looks like a sling that I assume they whip about to make noise. It's very strange. I'm going to screen share it because I don't understand how to explain this. It does not look like an instrument, but this is definitely the instrument um upgrade on the Pink Horrors. It's this thing, and I don't know what it is, but that is an instrument apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
also do not
that
know what that is.
that's whatever the instrument of Zinch is, and it's as confusing as Zinch is.
That sounds right.
So it's the best I got. Sorry, guys. Speaking about the other upcoming ITT, how do you find pairing teams of 5 compared to an 8-man teams?
Oh, it's so
5-man
boring.
teams is a lot about protecting individual lists. 8-man teams is about exploiting weaknesses and finding like a good back four is generally the difference. You have a lot less room to maneuver in 5-man teams, so you kind of have to go down the route of what do we want to not happen, whereas in 8-man teams you have a lot more room to make something happen. You can try to like pin lists and do all that kind of maneuvering because you can like use the fact that there are multiple rounds of pairings, multiple rejections, and things like that. There are only 2 rounds of pairing in 5-mans. There just isn't time to set up things like that. So it's more about making sure that there are a couple of things you don't want to happen, like specifically don't happen. So there might be like one list you have, has one really good matchup that you want to make sure that it doesn't get on the other team, or they might have one list that is very weak. That you want to make sure you exploit, so you're avoiding it not getting into good matchups. Whereas 8-man teams can be a lot more about isolating a good list and resulting in it getting into a bad matchup because you never let it have an opportunity, things like that. You have a lot more room to set that kind of thing up.
Yeah.
Also, 5-man teams is a lot more like, oops, we didn't bring counter to X because there's only 5 of us and only so many of us can counter weird off meta shit. And sometimes you just get gotcha'd by something. Like, I've definitely seen some team lineups that are just like, accidentally nobody pleads Votan because nobody was thinking about it in roster. And then you draw up and you're like, oh, none of us can play that. It's a lot more likely to happen in 5-mans than 8-mans, where you only might have like 1 or 2 lists that kind of incidentally counter something that's a little off meta. Whereas in 8-mans, you have a lot more. All right, something is going to cover that just incidentally, and as long as we like pair for it, we'll be fine. So yeah, can be different. Can be quite difficult. Are GK 2 Land Raider Redeemers the best counter for Orc Boys for GK, or how would you counter them playing GK? I would consider playing 4 to 6 Nemesis Dread Knights and having a lot of flamers and multi-damage shots that Green Tide does not enjoy dealing with, while also having Armor of Contempt, the 2-up armor save, and Mists of Deimos.
It seems like they have a fair amount of tools that could work pretty good there. Like a big Terminator squad would also be a difficult problem. That fucking Purifier squad from my nightmares also would work. God, I hate that fucking thing so much.
Yeah, I don't like there's definitely a lot of room there for GK to have problems with it, but consider running some chaff squads in that list. Put in like a couple strike squads to actually stand on objectives and have all
Just a
see.
bit of screening will go a long
Yeah,
way in
just
that
like
matchup. Actually,
there's every time I play against Grey Knights with Blood Angels, I'm like, oh, so you're screening with the Dread Knights? Okay, cool. And
guess you're
it's just
dead.
like the easiest fucking matchup because they never have anything to screen with, or they like use their thing to screen with to go and like try and score a card on turn 2, and I'm like,
It's the easiest matchup
are
outside
you
of
sure?
Hellbind boards.
So yeah, consider running some screens. Cut a strike squad and put in 2 squads of voidsmen at arms, and so that you can't bait yourself into into putting them in a corner to go and score signals, right? And just actually screen for once in your goddamn life, Grey Knight players. Mr. Demos does not solve every problem you have. People can get to you.
Dude, the last game I played against Grey Knights, I charged 4 units at the same time, and the guy just like surprised Pikachu faced me. It's like they can't all miss, bro.
Nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's ever done that in the history of Dota, Anthony.
Yeah,
Um, okay. There are 2 more questions, but someone else is typing, which I know is terrifying. It's 7 p.m. Do you know where my Emperor's children are?
they're right there
I'm
on the
assuming
index where GW told you they would be.
that's a reference that I don't get. Okay. Finally, no, not finally. Someone else is typing. God damn it, man! As Boddington and Sanguinius, how the hell do I deal with Canoptic Core? Had our time against them this past weekend. Thought I'd be pretty good on Purge of the Foe. Purge of the Foe is actually a rough mission to play them in because you're really good at hurting a unit really bad and not amazing at finishing them sometimes as Blood Angels. Like a Death Company squad messes up a Wraith squad, but it does not necessarily kill it. The average damage is somewhere between like 4 and 6 Wraiths. You maybe get the character if you Epic Challenge, but Epic Challenging them is sometimes isn't super worth it if you're going to do that much damage to them in the first place. So there can definitely be a little bit of like scammy potential there. Get your small units in their face, make them commit to your small units, and then counterpunch. Multi-charge things in Epic Challenge is another strong way. Hold the Sanguinor in reserve until he can Epic Challenge something. Don't stand in front of Doomstalkers. It's mostly your only lost condition. Ingress to go for and then like use Ingress and consider deep striking like an extra small squad of like jump intercessors in this matchup because you can like Ingress them to go for an immortal squad and things like that in their backfield. Wraiths don't love turning around. Generally,
Just
it's a pretty fine matchup, but you do have to dogpile Wraith squads to make sure they die, especially in a mission like Purge of the Foe, where if you're
yeah,
just losing your small squads and they're not losing a full squad every activation, you might get scammed a little bit there.
just brawl those fucking nerds, man. Necrons hate a straight up like lock them in a fucking phone booth and fight game. Just do that.
Yeah, very
Blood
true.
Angels are so good at those types of games too. Just
But
get
yeah,
in there and
don't
fuck their shit up.
don't try to trade with them is probably the thing that I would say, right? You
Yeah,
have to
that's
you
not
have
a
to
thing.
dogpile a Wraith squad. You are not going to trade with a Wraith squad. You have to put 2 things into a Wraith squad to make sure it dies.
You also
You
just shouldn't be
cannot
doing
just
that in general. Like
yeah,
just
you shouldn't be in general, but there are definitely games you can get away with doing that as Blood Angels, right? Or where you instigate a trading war to make your opponent overcommit and then dogpile them. Don't do that. Just
yeah,
don't.
that's what I'm saying though. Is this is not like a skill you should be trying to develop in Blood Angels. Like don't do that.
But yeah, like I said, the main thing is just don't expect even the Foot Death Company squad will not kill 6 Wraiths on average without
You
sustained
you
hits.
might be able to bait them into Overwatch on the way in, and then you got a chance.
Yeah, if your opponent is bad, sometimes, but don't count on that, obviously. Yeah, right. And something then Ivan responded, the signal's a trap for GK. It is, but also sometimes it's a lot of points. And sometimes you accept traps knowing that there's a downside.
Yeah, sometimes cheese is delicious if you're a mouse.
Yep. And sometimes, you know what they say, what is it? The early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese.
That's right.
And I don't know what the third I'm gonna move on. I think that's all we have.
That's
Right.
it.
There was a couple of questions from
Chats.
super chats. Yep. So Dominic says boys, 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 and Anthony says thank you for the pasta recipes or the
That's
sauce
right.
recipes.
Yeah, both.
Novelist says an index so bad, ChatGPT wrote better rules in 30 seconds.
I
Yeah, but it
doubt that's
probably
true.
stole them from someone. So let's not promote AI usage.
AI is
Fuck
good for
AI.
humanity.
That doesn't sound right. And how delicious is Old Bay scale? Yes to more, please.
Old Bay
I
sucks, and Maryland's not even
can't
the
say
best
I've ever
crab in
tried
the
it.
states.
How do you pronounce that again, Anthony?
Old Bay,
No, no, no. The state.
Maryland.
I thought it was Maryland.
Didn't we just
How
say the
does
same
Brian say?
thing?
Yeah, yeah. Brian says it like Maryland or something like that. I don't know.
I hope not.
It's difficult. I can never remember.
Yeah.
The only good thing that ever came out of Maryland is the Civilization games. Um,
It's their flag and Brian.
well, it's definitely one of those two things. And the flag is really cool. So,
Fair.
all right, I'm gonna leave off the end jokes. I hope everybody has had a wonderful time this episode of Stat Check. There is one more thing I need to do. So this week on the high fivesy thing, every single person is Dan F. And I don't understand how or why, and there is no other context, but I have been asked to respond Dan F. So thank you to Dan F, 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 and Dan F. All of you for being wonderful human beings and supporting us. Thank you. Welcome to the Church of the High Five. I don't understand what's going on. I'm not reading back on the chat to figure it out. But all of you receive a crisp high five from the StatCheck crew. Come and say hi if you're at a tournament this weekend. Otherwise, I hope everybody's had a great time. This has been episode 92 of StatCheck. I've been Innes. This has been Anthony. If you're at a tournament this weekend, have the very best of luck. If you're at ITT, come and say hi. I'd love to speak to you, and it would be great to catch up. And if you're at Anthony's RTT at Rogue State, go and say hi to him as well. Otherwise, we shall catch you all next week. Hopefully, we'll have a return to form with multiple hosts. But I hope you had a good time with, I think, what is it we usually call this one, Anthony? The kids' table?
I was gonna say, I was surprised the name of the episode wasn't the kids' table.
Well, we named the show before we knew it was going to be just us.
That's
So,
fair.
all right. I hope everybody's had a great time. Best of luck losing to Chaos Space Marines this weekend.
Won't be
Catch
me.
you all later.